This is how to make a basic patched pocket. You can make this sample on just a square of cloth. I am going to make this pocket on a sample made up as though it's on a jacket with a side body. It is easier to make without this, but I want to show in advance, close enough, I want to show in advance of showing how to make a side body. Since with a side body, when the darts close, we end up with a pre-cut pocket line where in the jacket where the pocket should be anyway. I have closed the darts in advance, which will make more sense when you see how a side body is put together. If you want a jacket with patch pockets and a side body if you want a jacket with patch pockets without a side body, like in just my jacket construction video, then it's just less complicated. Start with the height and width of your pocket. About 16 by 20 centimeters I think is good. Add a centimeter on the top for the bottom seam allowance, then add 2 centimeters for the facing and 1 centimeter for the top seam allowance. So basically add 4 centimeters to the height of the pocket dimension. Chalk on an extra 1 centimeter seam allowance on both sides and the seam allowance onto the bottom. Curve the corners to your liking before cutting it out. Cut a piece of linen for the facing around 5 centimeters or more by 16 centimeters. Baste it to the top of the edge. I am marking the top edge of the pocket onto the linen, which is 3 centimeters from the top edge. Place the cloth onto some silecia, cut roughly around the patch, and baste or pin it along the top. Find about the center of the top of the pocket and chalk 2 centimeters either side of it. We skip this bit when machining them together. Machine the silecia, linen and cloth together with a 1 centimeter seam allowance. Backtack either side of the marks we made, just pulling the pocket past that section, leaving it unsewn. We don't need to backtack on either edge if you don't care to, no issue though. Trim away the bit of thread and take out the pins or basting. I would suggest against removing the basting holding the linen in place, leaving it in for now, not as I did. Unfold the two and iron the seams towards the silecia. Fold the patch along the top of the pocket, inside out, and give it a cursory iron. Baste or pin the two pieces together. We can cut off the excess silecia so that it matches the cloth. Machine around the 3 raw edges with a 1 centimeter seam allowance, although we're following the original chalk marks we made showing the size of the pocket. Remove the basting if you basted around the perimeter before machining, and trim around the machining, leaving around ½ centimeter. At the top of the stitching, trim off the corners at the tops of the pocket so that they can be moved inside more easily. Around the curves we want to get much closer, but without compromising the stitching. A few millimeters. The closer we can get, the cleaner the result. Then, if you remember the hole we left when first machining the patch and silecia together, flip it right side out through that. This is where it would have been easier if I left the basting in on the linen, because that would hold it up while we're flipping it out. Press the top of the pocket flat again, the finished way around. Just press it flat as it is for now. Here I'm pulling the stitching at the top right to the edge of the pocket with a needle. Pull and roll the stitching right to the edge of the seams. Baste and fell the hole closed. As we fell, obviously we don't let the stitching be visible from the outside, only sewing through the 2 layers of cloth, plus the linen if you happen to do that, doesn't matter. With the patch fully right side out, we need to baste the perimeter, rolling the seam towards the inside of the pocket so that the seams and Silecia isn't visible once we apply it to the jacket. We can police the outside edge as we baste it, straightening by rolling slightly more or less, specifically around the curved corners. There will almost always be an excess of Silecia lining the patch pocket at this point. There's only so much we can pull out the excess when we machine it, but we can press the pocket from the edge towards the center of the pocket to try and shrink it at least a small amount. Before we apply the pocket to the jacket, if we have a jacket with a side body, we need to cover the gap of the belly dart. If you have a jacket without a side body, then you can carry on, but still pin over the pocket opening. I am chalking the pocket opening onto the sample so that I know where I want the pocket to line up. Baste some linen over the pocket opening on the reverse. 3 centimeters tall, no need to bother any taller, but a few centimeters wider than the belly dart. Mine is as wide as the pocket, but that isn't quite desirable. We can get away with it being narrower with these pockets since we have the extra stays as well. With some Silecia a little larger than the size of the finished patch pocket, place the Silecia above where we want the pocket to be, lining one edge half a centimeter below the belly dart. Pin it in place and machine it down 1 centimeter from the edge, so half a centimeter above the dart, or as close above the dart as you can get, which is why I chalk the pocket line onto the Silecia. I get so close I end up about a micrometer below where I'd like to be, so I re-sew that part. The Silecia should be slightly wider than the pocket, so we shouldn't back tack, making it easier for us to trim the Silecia that would poke out from behind the patch. Machine the Silecia below the dart to the linen so that we don't rely on the fusing to hold the belly dart closed. Fold and iron the Silecia down and we'll place the pocket on top of it. We trap the raw edges inside of the pocket, so trim it away if it sticks out. If you don't have a belly dart, then you can start here, though if you do, then make sure your pocket is lined up or slightly higher than the Silecia on the jacket. We apply patch pockets after the canvas onto the jacket, so we would be half attaching the pocket to some canvas. Behind the rest, we need a stay of some kind, like linen or Silecia along the points that we're sewing it down. Place the pocket where we want it. Before we baste around the perimeter, we will put the first stay behind the pocket, but it would usually be canvas. As we baste around, we can trim the Silecia from the belly dart if we had one, and place a new stay for each corner. To sew down the pocket, fasten some thread onto the wrong side at one of the top corners of the pocket. Come to the front along the top edge of the pocket opening less than half a centimetre from the first vertical edge. We'll make a couple of fell stitches towards the first edge, changing direction and start felling the edge of the pocket. It is a very simple fell. We are just felling through everything, keeping the stitching as neat as we usually do. If you come across Silecia sticking out from under the pocket, then just push it away and seal it inside of the patch. There's really nothing special to show. At the second side of the pocket opening, again fell less than half a centimetre over the pocket opening and send the needle to the back to moor it at the end. I'm removing the first base that I did that's holding the edge of the patch pocket rolled slightly. From the first edge again, we'll fasten more thread. Go through to the front around in the same place as we started the fell stitch on the top edge. We are prick stitching around the perimeter. There is as much to say about this as the fell stitch, if not less. At the second side, meet where we fell to, less than half a centimetre from the vertical edge of the pocket, fastening the thread on the back. We can remove all of the basting now. We can also press our pocket. For the last time, we will fasten the thread on one side of the pocket, except this time we will send the needle through to the front of the pocket near the top edge to prick stitch along. We can do any of the 3 prick stitches I've shown, whichever is your preference in this context. It holds the edge together neatly and prevents it from rolling to one side or the other, as I'm sure you know by now. On that topic, I think I should have done a baste to hold the top edge in place when I first folded the pocket right side out, but I did it without, so I guess I don't need to. I don't know, maybe I think it's just because I did this in the span of about an hour without making a whole jacket in between. So I would definitely baste it if I were making a jacket with patch pockets. Fasten it on the other side, as we have done so 3 times this pocket. If you had a belly dart and covered it, you can check that the prick stitching is holding it by just trying to pull it out. The raw edges should practically be French seamed between the fell stitch and the prick stitch.